Well, it's an absolutely gorgeous day here in the Bay Area. Sunny, blue skies, warm air, a lovely breeze to keep everything moving and flowing, and it felt like a perfect time to step outside, look at the gorgeousness around me, and share a little bit why I feel both so privileged and so honored to be able to be co-leading this HeartHeld workshop, this retreat coming up on May 16th and 17th with two remarkable individuals that I want to talk about briefly, and then share more of why I'm here with all of you, and look forward to being with you if you want to join us in a couple weeks. So my co-facilitators are the remarkable Dr. Stephanie Bridwell. And Stephanie is an entrepreneur, she's a healer, she's a mom, she's a divine goddess, she is super sharp, super sensitive, an awesome human being. And it feels like a real privilege not only to get to work with her, but to be using the space that she has so carefully nurtured over many years in San Anselmo, California, the Energy Flow Studio. So that's where we'll be. But also we're going to be with this amazing guy, sometimes known as the vegetable detective, sometimes known as a geek, sometimes known as an organic farmer, sometimes known as a biotech founder, and one of my closest friends in the world, Ernie Hubbard. And the three of us together are going to take you through this day and a half of practices, of insights, of lots of sharing, of getting your biofield scanned before the program and then again afterwards, of learning about the heart, about learning about very basic, bottom line, essential business skills and ideas, even to the level of documents that we will share with you for the success of your business. So wherever you are in your business life, if you're a founder getting started, if you've had your business for some time and you kind of need a refresh or a reset, if you're even just thinking about setting up your own business because the job you've been in or the life you've had is starting to feel more and more boring or more and more dead end, and you just know there's so much more that you can give and that you want to give to help others and to share your gifts with others. So it's a wonderful experience, and I want to share just a little bit of backstory, and so you'll know a little bit about why I feel so impelled, compelled, and thrilled to be able to guide such a program with Dr. Stephanie and with Ernie. And at first it might seem a strange segue because I'm actually the youngest of 5 sons, and you would imagine that's a very testosterone household. And it kind of wasn't, oddly, partly because my parents were both pacifists. They were all about care. They were all about love. My mother was an exceptional artist. Every conceivable visual medium she mastered. There was sculpture in our home. There was pottery. There were oil paintings. There were watercolors. There were macrame. There was textiles. There was knitting. There was so much she had done. And so the home was full of this creative expression, the divine feminine. But my father was no slouch in the creative department. The gardens around our home were marvelous, all designed by him, all tended by him. Well, I did have to mow the lawn and do the edging, but a small price to pay for the beauty that I got to live in, surrounded by loving, peaceful, peace-loving parents. And so I found, as life went on, and especially in adult life, when I realized I was not raised like a lot of people were, number one, it's unusual that there were 5 sons, and I don't remember us ever fighting. I mean, not that there wasn't the occasional argument, but even that was fairly rare. But there was a reverence for life and a reverence for all kinds of life. And I was very proud of the fact that my parents were always very socially conscious and always cared about people of all ages, all genders, all nationalities, all ethnicities, all religions or non-religions, all spiritual paths or non-spiritual paths. And so for me, that's normal. As I got into the business world after a very artistic career as an actor, singer, dancer in New York for a number of years, as I got into the business world, I began to see much more clearly the hierarchy that existed in so much of business life. But then I was privileged again because when the organization called the HeartMath Institute was forming in the late 80s and really getting started in 1990, I was part of the leadership team when we started. We were the same number, men and women, throughout the history of HeartMath, same number of men and women, not because we decided we have to have the same number. It just turned out that the most qualified people were equally gendered. And so it was always quite a balanced environment there. And I love the fact that there was a sensitivity to not upholding the usual norms of a more patriarchal society, and to also help individuals wherever they were at on their own journey of health and well-being and stress, to find ways to engage their heart. And I think one of the things that I look forward to sharing with all of you in the program is how central the heart has been to all of the business activities I did at HeartMath and since. In the 14 years now that I've been doing my own work, teaching, educating, helping entrepreneurs, mentoring young businesses, advising older businesses, it always comes back to the heart. If my heart is engaged, things work better. If my heart is coherent, my life works better. If my heart and my brain are in coherence together, they're not fighting each other, but they're working as a team, my business decisions are better. My campaigns are better. The marketing efforts are more aligned and more sincere. So many aspects of my business life, let alone my personal life, feel much more aligned, much more coherent. And like the beautiful wind chimes in the background, there's this harmony wafting around when the more I am able to live from my heart, act from my heart, decide from my heart. Not at the expense of the brain, never. Our brain is essential to run a business. No way you're running a business without a brain. And yet the balance between the two is what I'll have the privilege of sharing with you during the HeartHeld retreat. I've studied this for more than 30 years. I've practiced it at a personal level for 35 years. I have been engaged coaching others, mentoring others, in business, out of business, in healthcare, out of healthcare, all ages, from single-digit little children to people in their 80s and 90s. And I think part of what you will experience is this deep resonance in your feeling as we explore what heart coherence actually means, how we can develop a greater sensitivity to making sure our heart is involved in every aspect of our business life. And the heart is not soft. By including our heart, that includes a fundamental principle of who we are, a fundamental value of who we are. You might be a parent. I'm the very, very lucky parent of a daughter, a beautiful, amazing daughter. And I noticed when I was, when she was little, I and other parents would say, just go out there and play with your heart. Or, you know what, honey, I know you're nervous, but just sing from your heart. It'll be fine. Or, you know what, just go to your heart. You'll find the right answer. So the work that I had the privilege of doing for more than 2 decades with HeartMath was all about that. And we're going to share some of the fruits of those heart labors with you. And I really look forward to it, because you will find a lot of resonance. You will feel, wow, this makes so much sense. You will notice that things that I say and things that Stephanie say and things that Ernie say, it'll feel to you like, wow, this is exactly how it works. Thank you for elucidating this. Thank you for giving me some structure. Thank you for giving me some tools. Thank you for giving me some processes so that I can use my heart with my brain to create the most magnificent business, most magnificent life, but also a balanced life. And because to the degree to which we allow ourselves to get overbalanced in the name of a business, it's to our detriment. And now even the research, which I'll share in our immersion, even the research confirms that it's hard to make really good decisions, really long-lasting, sustainable decisions, if emotions are clouding our perception too much. Emotions are part of what makes life so amazing and wonderful and ecstatic and also terrifying and all the things. And so in the workshop, I'm also going to be sharing a lot about how do we regulate these things, not to suppress them, but how do we bring a balance to our life so we can fully feel what we are feeling, because that's who we are. And that's what we bring to our business, let alone to our family, let alone to our life in general. So how do we be able to be in the emotions without them clouding our decision-making, clouding our perspectives, but being able to be balanced and in more joy, have the resilience. And I think the last thing I'll say now is that we're living in an incredibly chaotic time. I can't think of any time in my lifetime, growing up in the 50s and 60s, where it was anything like this, where there is so much uncertainty. And I think this is a time especially to come together, to share more, to feed off of each other's insights, each other's skills, each other's gifts, and to open our hearts, not to just wildly open them without discernment, but open to caring for one another, to having more compassion for one another, and seeing just how valuable those heart values are in our business, let alone in our personal life. So I'll be the heart guy on the weekend. And actually, the irony is we're all heart people, big time. That's why we connect. That's why we love working together. And that's why we can't wait to be with you for those couple of days, May 16th and 17th. I invite you to take a look. I invite you to check out, if you want to read the link below, or however you've heard about this. There's a lot you're going to get. There's a lot of value, a lot of practical 3D real world value that you will need in your business, let alone in your life, to have the kind of balanced, fulfilling, regenerating life that is possible. So I invite you now. What about joining us?